let's have a conversation.
And she's an attractive woman.
Hey y'all, I'm sorry about that. I actually was on here. I got on here at 9:20. And this is probably the longest I've ever spoken without anybody being on here, because it's been so long since I used StreamYard that I didn't press the go live button, and I saw comments in the comment section. So I was like, oh, everybody is here and responding to my comments, until I read the comments and realized that nobody was actually seeing me. So therefore, and then my computer started dying, so I had to run out and grab my charger. But anyways, I'm going to give you like a shorter version of this very long introduction that I gave. I said it's probably been at least 2-3 months since I've actually done a formal episode recap of anything. I've done like little reactions where I've jumped on a live and I've talked about, oh, this is spelled wrong. Hold on one second. Challenge with the G. That's the cool thing about StreamYard. I can change it on the spot. Anyways, that's neither here nor there for y'all. But yeah, it's been a few months since I've done a formal episode recap or review. And I actually took the time today to get all my facts together to be able to review the first episode, the first part of the Challenge All Stars 5 finale. All right, let me get to these comments quickly before I start. First, you were actually first this time. You've tried to say that many times, and I feel like it's very rare that you are actually first, because you are indeed usually last. Hi, Cass. I've been waiting. Chop, chop. Hey, besties. Hi, Ma. Hi, Marshall. I ran out of hot pockets. Good evening, Mark and chat. Hi, Ed. You beat Ed to it. Hi, Nash. We need Palaver here. Sorry, I already said that. You're gonna have to find a new line. She's calling you out, Ed. What are you gonna do? I'm gonna study for my history exam. The intro is nostalgic. It's already changed. Let's have a conversation. All right. Okay, anyways, so now let me dive into this. Yeah, I wish Charicity was here. I told Artsy that I was going to be doing this, but granted, I did not say what time I was going to do it at, so I do not blame Artsy for not being here. So let me try to set up this screen really quick. Nope. I'm always messing around with this thing. I could try to do it like this, because other times I've made it with my screen smaller and then the other screen is bigger, but maybe this will make it less likely for me to get copyrighted. Okay, so let me start with asking y'all, for anybody who has seen the Challenge All Stars 5, what do you think of the Challenge All Stars 5 so far? And as you are answering that, I'm going to take the time to post up my link on my Facebook challenge page to see if some of these people will jump on here for me. Drop a comment and let me know what you think of the All Stars 5. All right, share. And also, like Marshall said, please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't, and hit the notification bell. Much appreciated. Okay. All right. Not my favorite season. It's not my favorite season either. For a few reasons. This is the season that probably has had the least of my favorite players. And also the ones that I wanted to see for the most part get to the finale. The layups strategized to take them out. So here we are. I just have to accept this finale with the people that we got in the finale. All right. Saw all but last night's episode. I'm rooting for. Well, that is the only episode that we're talking about. So you missed everything that we're talking about tonight. But I'm glad that you at least saw the rest of it. Okay, so I'm going to just dive right in here. Okay. I'm going to dive right in here. I also had technical difficulties with the video file or the PowerPoint file that I made, so I'm going to be doing this slightly different than I planned, but about 20 to 30 minutes of configuration, and I was able to figure out a makeshift version of what I want to do. Okay, so here we are with this. Bear with me a second here. So here's where we're going to start. The episode started with showing us the final 4 teams that are still standing. These are the 4 teams that are competing for their share at $300,000. Frank and Sam, who have, I guess you could say, kind of more on the Frank side, like masterminded getting the stronger teams out. We have Da'Vonne and Shane, the duo of chaos and commentary. We have Melissa and Nicole, who we'll get into Melissa and Nicole later. I mean, there's going to be plenty of Melissa and Nicole to talk about. And then we're going to get into Adam and Steve, who have seemed like favorites to win this game, with their combination of their athletic ability, with their puzzle solving ability, with what has seemed like to this point their continuity, and then all the strong teams that went out, and then the fact that they are the only guy team that is left in the finale, because we have a man and woman on a team together, Frank and Sam. We have another man and woman, Da'Vonne and Shane. And then we have a 2 women pair, Melissa and Nicole. And then we have a 2-man pair. And we've seen in past seasons that, well, a male and female team has won over a male team, because I remember Bloodlines. Oh, you're not that late, Artsy. They were just asking about you. So we've seen an example of a male-female team beating a male-male team, which is Battle of the Bloodlines, where Cara, Maria, and her cousin Jamie beat Corey and his cousin. I can't remember his cousin's name, but the point is that was two men on a team that was beaten by a man and a woman. All right. So here we go. So we started the episode by showing this thing with Melissa and Nicole, where Melissa and Nicole were talking about their relationship, and they were saying, and Melissa was saying, "Oh, it's just something to do. It's not really romantic in any kind of a way." She was being really vague. It's a hookup. Nobody is saying that they had a romantic relationship and that they were trying to be in a relationship after this is done and that they're going to be a couple. For those who don't know their challenge history, Melissa and Nicole have hooked up before. They've hooked up before on the show. They've hooked up before in other countries off the show. They've hung out outside of any challenge filming and hooked up outside of that. And Nicole, for all intents and purposes, let's be real, serial cheater. So I knew that they were going to hook up at some point in the season. Mitch, that was the name. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know that Artsy had 3 kids, but I know that he said yesterday or not yesterday. What are we, Thursday? It was probably Monday that Artsy said that the channel got suspended or something because of one of the kids being shown on camera. 3, 2, and 10 months. Oh, they're young. She is definitely a serial cheater. She's definitely a serial cheater. So once I saw this rivals pair, I'm like, it's not a matter of when are they going to hook up. It's not a matter of if they're going to hook up. It's a matter of when. And they showed in an earlier episode, they were in the gym and Nicole was all up in between Melissa's legs and Nicole was lifting up Michelle and they had a kiss. They kissed on the lips at one point and they were just doing a lot. And then right after all that, Nicole brings Melissa into the video room where they make the calls to their family or whoever, and is sitting there with Nicole talking to her girlfriend, whom she's claiming that she wants to win the money so that she can have a baby with that woman. And obviously, spoiler alert, they're not together anymore. Shocker. Okay, so let's go. This is how they started the episode, by showing this. And the messiness ensues.
And she's an attractive woman. You know?
So just to break this down, for anyone who didn't see it or for anyone that doesn't know what I'm showing, that thing that I talked about before was what they showed at first, where they were in, I don't know what room that was, the kitchen or something, with Adam and Steve, and they had their arms around each other, and Nicole and Melissa was kind of lifting up Nicole's shirt. And then they showed the confessionals of them talking about what their situationship was. Then they showed them going to the bunk beds where they had blankets surrounding the bunk beds to kind of cover what they were doing to the rest of the world. And then and then it showed them getting in the bed together, and then it put a big star, like what represents all stars. They put a big star in front of them. Like back in the day, they would have just flat out shown what they were doing, but they're like, let's make this like funny and vague instead. So it shows them getting in the bed, and then it shows Melissa taking off her underwear, and then it shows her putting it back on at the end. And then I watched this video earlier, which I posted on my channel, of somebody who snipped Nicole's live where she said, I did not cheat on my girlfriend because when I got back, I told her immediately that there were some things that I did that crossed boundaries. And I'm like, do you know what cheating is? Cheating is not admitting what you did afterwards. You still cheated. Cheating is doing that thing with that other person without the other person's knowledge, without your partner's knowledge or consent. So it doesn't matter if you told her afterwards. But I mean, that's not even really a debate, to be honest with you. Nicole can't keep on. She cannot keep her hands to herself at all. Yeah, I know that she has a sister. I didn't know it's a triplet, but I know she definitely has at least one sister. It could be a triplet though. I don't know. I don't know anything about that. She thinks she thinks cheating is keeping it secret. It is if I tell her after, it's okay. And they're not together now. The person she said she wants to have babies with on the show, she said she wants to have IVF treatment and have babies with this woman, spend her life with her. But you know what I mean? I'm only even spending this much time on it because they made it a thing at the beginning of the episode, and I'm like, why is this even a thing?
And she's an attractive woman.
The bedroom scene. Okay, so that's all I really have to say about that part. I mean, we all know what Nicole is going to bring to the table. She's going to have a woman back home 100%. She's going to be connected with somebody on the season. It doesn't matter who it is. She's going to hook up with somebody, and then her and the girl back home are going to break up. Oh, she is a triplet. The more you know. Okay, so here we are. So this is our final four once again. Frank and Sam, Devon and Shane, Melissa and Nicole, and Adam and Steve. So the next morning after that whole thing happened with Nicole and Melissa, whatever allegedly happened or whatever allegedly did not happen, right? They were all cheersing. They all had some champagne, some bubbly, whatever that was, and they were cheersing to the final. And they were like, okay, so, it's amazing that we got here. This is kind of customary. This had a little less feeling in it to me because I think about like classic times of the past where there was like Jordan in there was a West, there was a Cara, CT, even people like a little lesser tier, like a Corey, a Nehemiah, a Leroy, you know what I mean? Like this particular group was nothing that was really exciting or heartfelt to me, but it's a final. I'm always going to watch a final. So after they did their cheers to the final, they all started talking about, I forgot who brought it up, but they all started talking about what they would do if they won the prize money. Sam said that she would like top surgery and a house. Devon said that she would use the money, unsurprisingly, on her daughter's future. And let's see, Adam. I didn't quite understand 100% what Adam was saying, but it seemed like he was saying he wants to live up to his dad's expectation, and he would like the money so that he has more time to spend with his kids. Maybe he works a lot or something and doesn't get a lot of time to spend with the kids. And Melissa said that she wants to use the money for her daughter also as a single mom. And then Messy Nicole, of course, is like, so who's staying friends out of this? Who's staying friends after this? And then she says, Devon and Shane, because we all know that out of all those people who are left, it seems like Devon and Shane clearly have had the worst experience of everyone, and it was kind of an awkward thing to say. And Nicole knew that. And as you can see by Devon's face, hold on, let me see if I got another picture of this. I mean, this is at the cheers. Yeah, there we go. So this is at the cheers. So after Nicole said, who's staying friends after this, Devon and Shane, Shane was pretty much like, I don't know how Devon feels, but I consider you as a friend. And he was pretty much like, I feel lucky and blessed to have you as a friend, and I want a friendship with you after that. And he was, of course, seeking for her to have a similar answer, to probably say, hey, Shane, we've had our differences, but, I'm glad that we've worked through our issues, and now we're in a much better place. And, that's kind of what they showed us in the last episode to an extent. When they had that conversation in the bedroom. And they were like, let's figure this thing out. But from what Devon told us in the confessional, it didn't seem like she was trying to be friends with him at that time, because obviously things, I think, changed along the way, because on Twitter recently they've been complimenting each other. But at that time, it seemed like she was just like, I'm doing whatever I have to do to win the game and get this money for my daughter. So her response after he said that he still wants to be friends with her was like, so what's everybody's first meal after this? So she completely just evaded the whole question after he kind of poured his heart out there. But I'll tell you the truth. I don't actually feel like she was required to share how she feels with him or how she feels about him. I feel like she could have done this in a nicer way, in a sense of being like, Nicole, this is a private thing between me and Shane. You didn't have to ask that question, and I'm not ready to answer it now. And when I do answer it, it's going to be between me and Shane. She could have said it like that. However, from the sounds of things that I've heard from several of the competitors, and I don't mean heard as in they told me, but just what I've seen different competitors say that were there in the last challenge, where they say that Shane berated her. She has a right to have her feelings, and she has a right not to tell him, like, oh yeah, we're about to be the best of friends when we leave here. So it is what it is. He's valid in his feeling of, I kind of put my heart out there for you and you didn't reciprocate, but she's also valid in not having to reciprocate right then and there and in that specific fashion. That's just my personal thoughts about that. So Shane left the table, and then Adam was explaining to Devon why he feels that way. Adam was basically trying to tell Devon, he feels like he was extending an olive branch of friendship towards you, and he was willing to work on it, and you didn't reciprocate. And she was basically like, oh, okay, that's nice. And that's how that went. I mean, I'm kind of impressed of the way that Devon has been handling herself compared to how she used to handle herself in the past. I'm sick of his 40-year-old balding Shane acting like he's 20. Instead, she shat on him and then kicked grass on it when he said no after Shane left. Hey man, I hear you, but I don't exactly sympathize with Shane. I'm not gonna hold you. I do not sympathize with Shane. All right, so I do understand how he feels, but just based on his history, I don't really sympathize with him. So then we skip ahead from here and we get to the first section of the finale. Okay. Devon already has enough gay besties. So here's TJ arriving on his ATV. There must be no other moment like seeing TJ when you pop up at one of these finals, because I would be lit. Even though I know whatever I'm about to do is hard as hell, I'd be lit just because TJ's there rolling up in his ATV on the sand dunes. And then he hops off and then he tells them the prize money breakdown. And he tells them, there's $300,000 up for grabs. This is kind of the craziest thing that I've heard in years, because back in the day, third and fourth place are back in the day numbers. He says, fourth place gets $5,000. And I was like, did I hear that correctly? Like $5,000 as in $5,000? Because they're on teams of 2. So you telling me that you could get in fourth, you could make it all the way to a final, finish in fourth place, and leave with $2,500? I'm going to be honest with you. I wouldn't even go. I wouldn't even want to go. I wouldn't even feel incentive. If I was like dead last going into the last thing, I would be like, I'm debating whether I want to even cross the finish line at that point. $2,500. Anyways, third place is $10,000. Again, back in the day numbers. I guess they're just trying to alter it so that it's not like a couple of the other All-Star challenges where only one person won or 2 people won and everyone else got nothing. But it's like, it's next to nothing to me. So fourth place gets to split $5,000. Third place gets to split $10,000. Second place gets to split $35,000, which is a half decent. You know, $17,500 is decent. It's not like, oh, I went on a TV show and came in second money, but at least it's like it can spell me the months or like a couple of months, 2-3 months, depending on where you live. And first place gets a share of $215K. $250K, I'm sorry, not 15. Yeah, there's definitely much easier. I always say, if there's something on TV that I can make in my day-to-day life, why am I going on TV for, honestly? Okay. So TJ then says the final is split into 4 sections, 4 locations: the dunes, the oasis, the lagoon, and the temple. And it's a checkpoint final. We had one of those. I can't really remember all the All-Stars finals, but I do remember the first All-Star final for sure. I remember was a checkpoint final. In other words, and the last one was actually, now that I think about it, The one that Laura won was actually like a checkpoint final. Pretty sure it was. But I remember the first one where it was like you do different checkpoints and the winner gets the most stars. So for this one, it's like the winner of the checkpoint gets 4 stars, second place gets 3 stars, third place gets 2 stars, and fourth place gets 1 star. And if you don't finish, you get a DNF, so you get no star. Okay, so going into that, hold on. I'm gonna get to my section that I need to get to before I say this. Okay, so going into station number 1 or section number 1, whatever you want to call it, these were the rankings that I personally had for them. I thought Adam and Steve would definitely be the favorites, the clear favorites at that. You know, because they got the strategy, they got the brawn, they're a guy couple, a guy pair, and even though they have had their issues, it seemed like they were pretty cool in this season, anyways. Next, my personal opinion, I had Melissa and Nicole. I would have put Da'Vonne and Shane over Melissa and Nicole, but because they had so much tension and problems between them, I thought that could be an issue with chemistry when it came to that. So that's why I had Melissa and Nicole ranked higher than Da'Vonne and Shane. Then I had Da'Vonne and Shane, and then I had Frank and Sam. And the reason why I had Frank and Sam last is because despite all that strategizing, out of the 8 people there, Sam is in the worst physical condition of the 8. And you know that you have to be in good physical condition usually to win a modern day challenge final. So I automatically had them in last. So here's where we started. They had round 1, which was called Coding Ball. Coding Ball was where they had to run up and down the dunes, as you can see here. And they had to memorize the code. And as they were running up the dunes, they had to pass it looked like a medicine ball back and forth between them. And if they drop it, they have to start back at the bottom of the hill. And then when they get to the top, they try to see if they can, the codes are corresponding to a letter. And then once they get all the correct letters that they need, they unscramble them and they solve what the word is. You're going to play for me? Okay, here we go. So, yeah, that's a guy. I'm going to be honest. I'm not a Frank fan. Never have been. I never really will be a Frank fan. It is what it is. Okay, so here we go. After Coding Ball, which was round 1, Nicole and Melissa ended up surprising all of us, or surprising me anyways. They took the first challenge. They got up the sand dunes and they memorized the best and they unscrambled the word the fastest. All credit where credit is due. Then Da'Vonne and Shane finished second, which is also a shock. Adam and Steve come in third, also a shock. The only thing that I wasn't shocked about was Frank and Sam coming in last. We last saw Sam on a sand dune in the Battle of the Seasons, which I believe that Frank and Sam actually won, along with Zach and why can't I remember the fourth person? But anyways, I remember them so well because I remember Zach and Frank just be raiding Sam in those sand dunes on that season. So she was saying that it brought back flashbacks a little bit. Frank has been on his best behavior because I honestly, from what I see of him, I know he felt the same way when he saw that Sam was his partner, and he's just been holding it together the best that he can. But I feel like he's having such a hard time holding it together, and the proof is in the pudding. Oh, so let's see. Nicole and Melissa start off with 4 stars, so they're in the lead. Devon and Shane have 3 stars. Adam and Steve have 2 stars. Frank and Sam have no stars. You can read all the thoughts on his face. And Frank and Sam don't have any stars because they had a DNF, which is do not finish for those who don't know. And then here's what Frank had to say about that.
We were behind when we started, and we remained behind. I feel like I'm frustrated. We've had 2 physical games in a row. My partner can't do those things. I'm not intending to cut her down, but we're up against obstacles that are insurmountable.
You heard what he said. He was like, we've had 2 physical challenges. My partner can't do those things. Not to put her down, but we have challenges that are insurmountable. Frank is trying his hardest not to scream at her. Cause okay, here's something that I'll compare it to by contrast, right? I remember the Challenge Ride or Die season. By default, because I saw some behind the scenes stuff about it. By default, Aneesa and Jordan ended up as partners. Jordan yelled at Aneesa throughout that final, right? But I don't know how to describe it, but I felt like the type of way that he responded to Aneesa was so different than this. Jordan yelling at Aneesa was like, pick it up. I want you to do better. I don't expect you to be like where I am fitness-wise, but I think that you can give more effort. I really felt like that's what it was. I mean, she could feel different. I don't know, but that's just how it looked like to me. Frank didn't seem to yell at Sam. I mean, he was kind of like, Sam, come on, pick it up, like that. Like he was kind of pushing her, but it was not in a motivational sense. And you heard what he just said. He was like, it's insurmountable. Like my partner can't do it. That's
2 physical games in a row. My partner can't do those things. I'm not intending to cut her down, but we're up against obstacles that are insurmountable.
Not intending to put her down, but I am putting her down. Like 2 physical challenges, and my partner cannot do them. I mean, I'm not going to say there's no validity to what he's saying. I just find Frank to be disingenuous, and we saw evidence of that all throughout this season when he was people's shoulder to cry on, and then he would get in the confessional and he would be like, I don't care about any of these people. I don't care about any deals that I've made. I'm just here to make the money. And but when they spoke to him, it seemed like they felt like he was genuine and he was there for them, and he was, he cared about people. But when he was in the confessional, he was saying otherwise. So yeah, that's the way that I saw it. Jordan was like a trainer yelling at you, whereas Frank was just like, you're so useless. I don't want to even be here with you. Like, I'd rather quit. That's the vibes he was giving after the first round. So after the first round, as you can see, like I was saying, Melissa and Nicole ended up in first place. Devon and Shane ended up in second. Surprisingly, Adam and Steve ended up in third. And unsurprisingly, Frank and Sam didn't get a point. So now we jump into number 2, which is round 2. Round 2 was called hashtag barrels. So what barrels was that they had to get on these barrels that were on the sand dunes. They had to transfer the barrels, and then they had to transfer 2 sets of barrels onto 2 different platforms. I think the blue platform and the brown platform. Or maybe it was the green. I think it was the green and the brown. And then the blue platform, once they finished transferring the barrels to the other 2 platforms, they had to solve like a math problem, which was, I think they had a 15 in the middle, and then they had to make all the outer numbers add up to the inner number. Frank was like a kid crying to their parents because their sibling messed up their game. Yeah, I didn't care for his crocodile tears at all. I did too. I thought they would win too. So, did I have anything more for this one? I don't think so. That might have been it. I don't think I had a video. Okay, so yeah. After the barrels challenge, Shane and Devon take it. So they finished second in the first challenge and they finished first in the second challenge. Adam and Steve moved up and finished in second place for this one. And then Melissa and Nicole went down to third. Frank and Sam came into last place. And Frank was having a meltdown. Like, Frank was just, that video I showed was out of order because Frank, I don't think he cried like that after the first one. That was after the second one, which is this one. So it was a little out of order. But he was clearly pissed after the first one. So they finished, but they finished in last and they had 1 point. So after, hold on, let me see if I can make this bigger on my screen. So after 2 rounds, Shane and Devon were in first place with 7 stars. Second place now was Melissa and Nicole, 6 stars. Third place was Adam and Steve with 5 stars, and last place was Frank and Sam with 1 star. So now jumping into round 3. Round 3 was called Towered Out. I also thought Shane was going to be petty and throw the final completely. You know what I was going to say about this? I was going to say, we still don't know who won, or I still don't know who won overall because we only saw part 1. But I will say, sometimes having the perfect run to a final where everything goes smoothly, especially as a partner and a rival, everything runs smoothly, you don't argue, nothing happens, does not necessarily mean that you are going to win in the final. Because other teams faced a little bit more chaos in this season, it seemed, than Adam and Steve did. So it seemed like they strangely, it's like we're kind of used to the chaos and we know how to operate within that chaos. And, you know, it seemed to kind of be a little bit of an advantage to some. So anyways, Towered Out. Towered Out, they had to stack up 28 baskets. So they each got a string. And when they pulled the string, it stretched this elastic that went over the barrel. And then they had to stack up the 28 barrels by each of them pull and then put the elastic over the barrel, tighten it, move it to where it's supposed to go, and drop it. So when we start doing this thing, Shane and Devon are cooking this challenge. So it showed that they had, I want to say, 26 out of their 28 barrels done. And it looked like they were about to win a third one. And significantly widen that lead. So then there's an option that TJ gave at the beginning of this challenge to sabotage one of the teams. You get one chance to throw a ball at one team's tower. Each team gets a chance to do this. And Adam and Steve, who probably should have been looking at Davon and Shane, which it didn't end up mattering anyways, but they probably should have been looking at Davon and Shane strategically. Adam had a vendetta against Frank and Sam because Frank and Sam gave them their word that they were not going to throw them into an elimination, and then they threw them in anyways. So Shane goes for Frank and Sam's tower, throws the ball at their tower, and misses. And then Frank takes some shots at Adam in the confessional and says he's not strategic. And then he decides, he's like, well, we're going to go for the team that's in the lead. So he goes over and throws a ball and hits Davon and Shane's tower when they were almost done. I think they were at like 26 or 27. And I think hitting it took them down to like, I don't remember, 21 to 22, 23, something like that. But either way, they went from being in first place to, I believe, being in last place at that point for that particular challenge. And then, where are we at? Towered out. Okay. So then Adam and Steve actually end up benefiting from that because Adam and Steve were right behind Shane and Devon. So Adam and Steve won. Frank and Sam also benefited because they ended up coming in second. So now they're moving up a little bit. And then Shane and Davon fall all the way to third. And then Nicole and Melissa end up in last. So these are the updated standings through round 3 of 4. About to put it on the screen. I think I have it on the screen. Okay. All right, so after 3 rounds, Davon and Shane were tied for first now with 9 stars because they finished third in that round. Adam and Steve, as the winners of that round, getting 4 stars, they moved up, and now they were tied for first with 9 stars. Third place was Melissa and Nicole with 7 stars. And last place was Frank and Sam with 4 stars. Good night, Marshall. Okay, so heading into this last round. The last round was called Camping Chaos, which they had to like recreate a campsite. I wasn't the biggest fan of this because I thought it was such a weird challenge. So they had to go look at a campsite table creation and place everything in the exact same place, which I feel like is kind of dumb and also kind of subjective. But it is what it is, and they did what they decided to do, and that's what it was. They had this hilarious scene in here. Hold on, let me play this real quick. Where TJ was playing his guitar.
In September.
TJ, you are 2 seconds becoming my rival for the next season. Because what is this?
Good times in the bad that I remember won't last.
TJ is actually really good at the guitar. If you ever heard him play, TJ and Johnny Bananas are both really good at the guitar. But anyways, Shane and Devon pull out the upset. And they win this recreation challenge. They had some fighting along the way, but they got it right the fastest. Frank and Sam end up finishing in second. Melissa and Nicole finish in third. Adam and Steve were actually doing fairly good on this challenge, but they disagreed on one thing, and it was Steve's fault because Steve was focusing on something else, and Adam was like, I think this pocket square was a square and not a rectangle. And Steve didn't want to hear, Steve was not trying to hear that. So then Adam finally switched it to the square, and TJ was like, that is correct. And then TJ, being messy, was actually like, just to let you guys know, Adam, you were actually correct. And I'm like, why would you even say that, TJ? He never says that. He definitely stirred the pot at the end. It was kind of funny, though. So these are my numbers here because I don't think they put the numbers on the screen. So I came up with, my unofficial numbers if my math is mathing. So after the first day or the first part of the finale, Shane and Devon, shockingly, after all this stuff they were showing in the beginning, are in first place so far with 13 stars. Adam and Steve are in second place with 10. Nicole and Melissa are in third place with 9. Frank and Sam are in last place with 7. Frankly, I still don't think that. I think that these numbers are not like numbers that seem to be significantly far from each other. So it's still kind of anybody's game. But shout out to Shane and Devon for winning the first half. Like who would have thought? And Adam and Steve, Nicole, Melissa are kind of neck and neck. We all expected Adam and Steve to be dominant in this, and they have not been so far. Things could change, but so far, that's how it's been. Nicole and Melissa definitely, even though I picked them to be in second, I thought they would be in second to Adam and Steve, and I thought Adam and Steve would have a significant lead. So, and Frank and Sam, I expected them to be in last, and they are. But I do have to give them some credit for losing the first 2 rounds so badly and Frank having a meltdown, but then still being able to pick themselves up and get themselves somewhat back in the game. So I'd be happy if Shane and Devon won. Not really for Shane, to be honest with you, but for Devon. I'll say going into it, I was going for Adam and Steve. Based on who was there. I wanted Leroy to win. Leroy and Devin, but they're out. So, and then I wanted Nanny and Turbo to win, but they're also out. So Adam and Steve was who I was going for, but Devon, I would love to see Devon get that win. The only reason I'm not saying Shane, even though they're partners, is that Shane has seemed to be so awful to her back then and still now, from what I've heard and from what I've seen. So I don't want to see him get that money. Adam and Steve, even though they're down, I'm still not going to say I think that they don't have a chance to get in it. Nicole and Melissa are Nicole and Melissa. I tend to feel like they performed well. I don't really see them. I see Steve and Adam performing better moving into the future, and I don't see Melissa and Nicole really performing better, but we'll see. And Frank and Sam, I'm not going to lie to you. It's not that I don't like Sam, but I was very happy at the fact that I knew that Frank had an anchor with him just in terms of athletic ability, which you need to finish a modern day final, even an All-Stars final. I have some final thoughts on All-Stars, but before that, now I'll get to what you guys were saying, which was in the preview, it was alluding to the fact that it might be a possibility that somebody, as was done for the first time in Rivals 3, when Johnny Bananas took Sarah's money, or took the money from Sarah that they won together, they kind of alluded to that, the fact that that might be an option here, which would be spicy. That would be a real spicy ending. And I guessed to myself, I'm like, if any of those 4 pairs got a chance to steal the money, right? I would say this. If Devon and Shane finished in first and Shane had a chance, I think either of them. I think Devon would steal it from Shane and Shane would steal it from Devon. That's just my honest thoughts. Nicole and Melissa, I somehow feel like they would split it. Adam and Steve, I think they would split it. And Frank and Sam, I think each of them would take it. That's my thoughts. Or, I don't know. I almost want to say Frank would take it and Sam wouldn't, but maybe Sam could be more ruthless than what I'm thinking. I don't know. Let me know in the comments what y'all think. So in terms of the final, there was something that I did want to say about the season. Not the final. Well, a little about the final and a little about the season. And then I'm done. A little about the final and a little about the season, and then I'm done. Okay, so about the season. No, it's not my favorite season. No, it didn't have my favorite players in the season. But this is the complaints that I get tired of when it comes to talking about all-stars in general. People are like, oh, it's not a real final. Oh, the season is so much easier and shorter than the regular seasons, than the flagship seasons. Oh, this is the geriatric cast. You know what I mean? Here's the thing for me personally. I started watching the challenge. I was like, shoot, man. 11, 12 years old when I started watching the challenge. And like a Devon, a Melissa, a Nicole, probably a Sam and a Frank. I don't know exactly how old they are, but they're around my age. So I'm not really going to expect somebody at this stage in their life to be doing something that a 20-year-old can do. And the thing that I liked about the Challenge All-Stars is that it was so inspirational for me personally. And I told Derek this. I told Derek Kaczynski this when I saw him at one of the first challenge events that I saw him at. I was like, it's just really inspirational to see somebody who's been off of the TV for so long and did something like this so many years ago and now has grown up, family, kids, all that kind of stuff, and is able to come back and, you know, show the bravery to get back on camera. And, you know, they have all kinds of different things that are going on in their lives. And I have different expectations of each show. When I watch the flagship show, I expect them to be like beat them up, you know, hardcore, difficult, really difficult finals, difficult dailies or whatever. And I expect when I watch this, it's going to be more about drama, a little more about politics, and a little less on the physical. It's obviously a shorter show, and it's an easier show. And I think that when you accept that there are two different types of shows, even though they are under the same umbrella, it'll become a lot easier. And if you don't like it, then you don't have to watch it. It is what it is. It's a lighter show. It is what it is. Thank you, Artsy, for the gifted membership. I guess they're saying that you got your own membership. That's funny because I can't see it on StreamYard. That's the first time I've ever heard of that happening. That's funny. I don't mind the way they do All Stars. I like the old school players. The vibe was fun. I think I would say it's the cast more than the format, to be honest with you. Because when I saw this cast list, even before I saw a single episode, I was like, this is not for me. But I just love the challenge so much that I was going to watch it anyways. 6 times? Wow. All right, y'all. So that was fun. It's been a while since I've had a chance to actually sit down, because when I do things, I don't just get on here and just do anything. I type things out. You know, I get pictures together. I take notes. I do all that stuff because I don't like just coming on here and talking about nothing. Hey, I like the episode, and you know, like just freestyling. I'm not a freestyle type of person when it comes to that. I can freestyle a speech, a public speech, although that's not even fully freestyle. I'll still have my whole paper. It's just that when I get up there, I can alter things based on the vibes. But thank you for that, Artsy. And I want to thank all of you for joining me tonight. I also watched Millionaire Secret. I watched the final Millionaire Secret. I'm not really going to talk about that just yet. Maybe I'll make another video another day for Millionaire Secret, but I did watch the ending. I felt about the ending, the best way I can describe how I felt about the ending of $1 Million Secret was it felt to me the same way I felt about the Squid Game ending. So that's that. And thanks for joining me. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell to get notified of when I drop some more great content. Thank you all, and I hope you have an amazing night.